All right, greetings everyone, and thanks for joining us today for hopefully what will be a very fast-paced and informative webinar about STEM education using the Desmos calculators on our Connect 12, as well as the Matt Connect that's available through APH. The session is being recorded and we will share it after we get done and get everything captioned up. I have Meaghan Maguire here from Desmos today. She's waving at you right now. Housekeeping wise, there is an opening poll that is available for you to answer questions. We'll leave that up for several slides here. So feel free to answer that at your convenience and send any questions that you have through the chat or the QA function, and we will try to keep up with them as we go along. But again, we do have a very information-packed session for you today. So without further ado, going to jump right into the next slide here and tell you what we have on the table for you today. We will continue our introduction and then provide a few goals for the short amount of time that we have together. Then we will have a Desmos Studio presentation from Meaghan, followed by myself showing the Connect 12 device with Prodigi software using the calculators, and then we will finish up with any remaining questions and answers at the end. And again, given that we only have 30 minutes, things will go very rapidly. So we'll move forward here and I'll allow Meaghan to go ahead and introduce herself, and then I'll introduce myself and we will continue on.
Thanks, Roger. Hi, everyone. My name is Meaghan Maguire, and I'm the Director of Partner Success and Strategy at Desmos Studio PDC. If you're not familiar with Desmos, our mission is to help everyone learn math, love math, and grow with math. When I say partners in the Desmos world, this means the companies and organizations who embed or leverage our tools, our calculators, into their product and services. Humanware and Desmos have been partners since 2017 around the Connect devices, and we're super honored to be part of this webinar today. Thanks, awesome. Roger.
Thank you, Meaghan. And I'm Roger Steinberg. I am the, forgot to change my title there. I gave myself a promotion on this slide. I'm actually the product manager for low vision devices here at Humanware. I'm not the director of product management. You can see I'm reusing a slide that had Eric Beauchamp on here previously. I've been with Humanware going on 3 years now and have been in the assistive technology world for approximately 25 years now, working with Kurzweil, Baum USA, and other companies in the assistive technology and education space. So very excited to be here today and show you how Humanware has partnered with Desmos to deliver STEM support for students and users with low vision and learning differences. So moving right along here, we do have 2 goals for you today during our session, and those are to understand how calculators will benefit learners, and then learn how Prodigi helps to deliver that STEM support. So 2 simple goals there. We did have that poll running here, and we have 10 attendees. It looks like 80% of you own or use a Connect 12 or a Matt Connect, and it looks like, wow, we have 100% are at intermediate or advanced level users. So it will be a quick overview of what the device is today, and then we will jump right into showing how we work with math. So I'm going to go ahead and end that poll for everyone. Close that out, and we'll go forward here, and I'm going to hand it off to Meaghan now to provide a little bit more detail on Desmos and what they're up to with calculators.
Fantastic. All right, everyone. I'm going to start by giving a bit of a background on Desmos as a company, given that there have been some changes in the last year, which some of you may or may not be privy to. So way back in 2011, Desmos was founded by a man named Eli Luberoff, who was a Yale graduate, and he had spent many of his college years in New Haven, Connecticut, tutoring students of varying socioeconomic backgrounds and of varying learning needs. And he saw firsthand how access to good math tools could be a barrier to certain students learning math effectively, especially on the financial side if families were expected to cover the cost of an expensive handheld calculator device. In addition to that financial access issue, he was also inspired to think through what a digital-first graphing calculator could be, something that was much more illustrative and interactive, something that could be more engaging and providing a more vibrant learning experience. So his direct experience tutoring and the observations he gleaned there inspired him and a small team of engineers to create what was the very first Desmos graphing calculator, a fully digital free graphing calculator available to anyone in the world via a web browser or an app. So over the next 10 years, Desmos Inc. developed two main products: Desmos Tools, a full set of calculators and math tools, and Desmos Classroom, which was a digital slide-based learning platform powering a math curriculum. In order for the calculator and the tools business to continue to thrive and for sufficient resources to be put towards their development, Desmos Inc. spun out a brand new company called Desmos Studio PBC, which is why I continue to say Desmos Studio. And this all happened last June to focus solely on our tool set and to continue great work with partners like Humanware and others. The rest of Desmos Inc. was acquired by Amplify Education. We're still on great terms with them. They're our friends, but we're now a wholly independent company called Desmos Studio, where we get to focus all of our time and energy on building wonderful, accessible calculator technology. So that brings us to today. Next slide, please. We at Desmos Studio PBC have what we call a core product offering in math tools. And you can access these math tools if you go to our website at www.desmos.com. And you can access the graphing and scientific calculators through iOS and Android apps. Also, you can access them through the great Connect device that Roger will be sharing in a bit. But I will say that this list has expanded over the last year. And when I say expanded, it means we still maintain a graphing calculator, a scientific calculator, a four-function or a basic calculator, a matrix calculator, and we've completely overhauled a new geometry tool. And last week, we launched our very first 3D calculator, the first of its kind that we've ever built. We're extremely excited about it. All of these tools, again, you can access if you go to our website. Click on, there's a math tools button with drop downs. All of them are there for you to explore. Next slide, please. I wanted to take a moment to talk about our development philosophy and really how we reach users here at Desmos Studio. So our development philosophy is really centered around three guideposts, the first of which we call Design for Delight. So when we think about building great, accessible math technology with the goal of helping everyone learn math, we see there's little value in learning math if they don't also find something to love about that experience as well. So we prioritize delight in our products, even if it means it takes us a little bit longer to develop them. We would rather release a delightful product or a lesson versus like an adequate one today. So we really prioritize thoughtful design and a great user experience when we're doing our work. The next guidepost we call Works Every Time. So there are a number of reasons, as you all may experience, that a product might not work for a user. It could break, as tech often does. It could be that someone uses it in a way that we didn't anticipate. So whatever the reason, even if a product that works 99% of the time could interrupt learning of 1 in 3 students, something that we've found. As a result, we've come to prioritize reliability and usability, again, even at the expense of development speed. So we strive for backwards compatibility and still open graphs made in the first week of our calculator's launch back in 2011. We aim to design software that works for a variety of inputs, a variety of experiences. The last one, and the one that I'll spend more time talking through in just a moment, is accessibility, making our tools accessible for all learners and partnering with companies and organizations who are pioneering technology to serve users who are blind, low vision, have certain learning needs is a core design priority for us. We have a lead accessibility specialist named Steve Clower. He is a committed Desmos user who is also fully blind. And Steve, 6 years ago, wrote to the company with a ton of feedback on how to make the graphing calculator more accessible. And so flash forward now, he's actually our lead engineer on accessibility, and he's our expert in advising how do we build, especially these new tools, to be accessible for all users. So could I, Roger, have you actually flip to the next slide? I do want to talk about our accessibility pillars here. When we think about our accessibility work at Desmos, it has allowed us to do the following. All of our websites and software have been written to conform to WCAG 2.1 accessibility guidelines. And what this has produced is a robust set of keyboard shortcuts across our products, respecting font size settings for low vision users, ensuring that our colors have sufficient contrast. We've also provided screen reader and braille access to our equation editor, and we make graphs accessible to fully blind students via audio trace and with tactile output. So there's a lot that we do in the accessibility world. Encourage you to go to desmos.com/accessibility to check out a full overview of our offering and to interact with some examples there. One last thing, Roger, if I could have you flip to the previous slide. I do want to talk about our reach. One of the powers of having such great free technology that users can access is that we're able to reach a lot of students and users across the country and across the globe. Right now at Desmos, we have 80 million users each year that access our tools through an app, through our website, through our partners, programs, softwares, hardwares. And one of the key ways that we have this reach, especially in the US and with the student population, is through assessments. And so Desmos is actually the calculator of choice on 42 and growing state summative exams in the United States, meaning those are the state tests that if you are in a public school in the US, you take to meet certain requirements set by state departments of education. We are also the only embedded digital calculator on the new digital SAT that the College Board is rolling out in this school year. So some really exciting developments on the assessment front. And again, a lot of our partners, and both in the assessment space, but also in the State Department of Ed space, are choosing Desmos because of our commitment to accessibility and access. All right. Roger, that is my big Desmos overview. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to you for your section.
All right, that was fantastic. Thank you, Meaghan, for that. And again, if anyone online has questions, feel free to put those through the chat or the QA function, and we'll tend to them. I don't believe any have come in yet, but hopefully some will come to mind as we continue on here. So again, Meaghan, you've laid the table here for me to show how our Prodigi software on the Connect 12, which is pictured on the screen here, with the graphing calculator in use, and how that can be used for STEM support for both those in school and those who are out in the workforce. But there are a number of things that we can do with the Connect 12 or the Mat Connect using our Prodigi software in terms of capturing and reading material back, and that stands true for both science and math materials as well. We have additional tools that allow for users to study or mark up materials so that they can return to them and find that key information and learn more from them. We have additional tools that allow for academic, or I should say professional, task completion in terms of sort of filling in the blanks or doing things like that, or even writing directly on documents. And then, of course, lastly and importantly today, we have our calculators. So we have integrated from Desmos Studio PBC, the standard scientific and graphing calculators into our Prodigi software. And that's what we're going to spend the majority of our time on today, is a demonstration of how those are integrated and used by students. Let me just check to see if we have any questions. Okay, no, great. Thanks, Meaghan. I see you posted a couple of links there. So anyone that wants some of those links, feel free to jump into the chat. They're there. I am going to stop sharing my screen right now, and I am going to switch my camera view to my other camera, and hopefully you are now seeing a view of my Connect 12 on my desktop here, and it's already turned on. And just to provide a quick overview of what the Connect 12 is, and this stands for the Mat Connect, which is an APH version of the device, is a tablet-based magnification solution. So I have a clip on the bottom here that allows me to take my tablet out of the stand. Normally I wouldn't do that with it powered on, but because we're short on time today, I can. But here's a very rugged stand that has an adjustable tray onto it, so I can change my viewing angle. And I will then go ahead and place my tablet back in there. So this is an Android-based tablet that sits in there. And again, this is our Prodigi software that you're seeing right now. It's taken over the entire interface of the tablet. And just checking my other computer here, it looks like you have a pretty good view there. I'm going to tap on the magnifier tool just to show you what it would look like. And I have a math document that I've placed underneath of here right now that I can use the buttons. We have a button banner across the bottom. To the far right is my zoom in tool, so I can tap on that. But being that it's a tablet, I can also use a pinch and zoom gesture to zoom in on that. And so now I can look at this little chart, visit Crater Lake National Park. I can see that. So again, so at its base, I can now magnify it. I am not going to capture this document right now and have it read back because of time, but I will highlight that in a few moments. But there are other settings on the bar down here. The very center is this camera button that would allow me to capture it. I can turn my lights on and off. So we have built-in lighting in our stand that helps to create a better image. And then these gear wheels, if I tap those second to the left here, I can go into different settings that I may want to adjust for a user. So we have brightness settings, contrast that can be used, viewing modes. I have my autofocus unlocked. Speech is turned on. We'll see that in just a few moments. We even have some of the gestures that you just saw. Pinch and zoom is turned on. I have all of them turned on here. So I'm going to back up here again. And just to show one of them in action, I will change my contrast to a negative contrast here and back out just so you can see what that does to the document down here. So we're going to go into a white text on a black background now for this document here. Again, I can zoom in and zoom out onto it. So again, if I have a visual issue that dictates that I need to have a white on black background, that's something that I can easily affect in my document viewing in the magnifier. So that's just a quick overview of the magnifier. I'm going to quickly go to the left here. And again, this is what we call our carousel mode. We have a distance camera that can connect to the device, and this allows a user to look at things obviously in the distance. So I'll just hold that underneath here very quickly. This would be turned on and mount onto the stand that you saw just a few moments ago. And we have it in a 10x and a 25x version, but it will allow a user to see a whiteboard or a meeting board or follow the person who is speaking at the front of the room and have that projected onto their tablet. We won't demonstrate that today. We have a books application that allows you to download books from a variety of different online sources. At the bottom of the screen here, you can see Bookshare is one that I have installed, but I'll just show a couple of books that I've installed. So some things like The Giver and Lies My Teacher Told Me, The Giving Tree. So these are books that I've downloaded, and Bookshare is a great resource with over 1 million books available to download there. So it can save a lot of time in capturing documents to use. We have a dictionary tool. So this could actually help out with some of the STEM activities as well. So I'm just going to open it up to show the interface as a word of the day, but I could tap in that search for a word box right there and type in a word. Maybe it's geometry or trigonometry or something like that and look it up. In the upper right, you can see I'm in UK English right now. We actually support 4 different languages: English, US, English UK, Arabic, and French. So that's our dictionary tool. We'll continue on here. Here's our calculator icon. We will come back to that in just a few moments since that's the thrust of what we're going to talk about today. We can provide quick access to different applications. Being that this is a tablet, it has Android running behind our Prodigi software right now. So let's say I don't want my user to be going into Android. I can put applications that I want them to have quick access to right here. So I have my Gmail account. I can add other ones there. And I will show Android in just a moment, but then I can actually access using the apps application here. I can search any application that I've downloaded onto my tablet. So here I can see my Drive, my Gmail, my Google, anything that's on this tablet, I can access directly from there. And again, I haven't had to go out to Android. This is a good point to just show with a 5-finger gesture. There are other means, but I can exit out into my Android operating system environment and access any apps that I have installed on Android and explore the world of Android, as well as adjust any Android settings that I might want to change. In the lower right here, I'll tap my home button, and I have set Prodigi as my home app. So now I'm back in my carousel. I'm going to scroll back to the right here. There's my magnifier. I'll continue. I'm going to go all the way to the end first and come back again. So all the way at the far right, if you will, is our help. I'll just tap that so you can see we have YouTube tutorials as well as the ability for you to provide feedback. You can quickly access those there. And again, as a low vision device, our settings area is very robust. So I will just quickly show the user interface and a host of settings that we can change there. So I can change my interface even to a different setup. So there's black on yellow, if that's what works for me. So I'm changing the entirety of my interface. For my demonstration, I'll leave it on black and white today and back up here. And I just wanted to show one other tool within the interface. Again, lots of settings here to adjust for the user, but let's say we have a younger user. We can go to a simple interface, and I'll back up using the back button in the upper left there. And now I've locked it down to just 5 icons that they can use and 5 applications that can be used by the user. There is no scroll on left or right anymore. So let's set it back on our carousel one more time there. And I will use that back button in the upper left, come back out to my carousel, and it always is going to come back to my magnifier there. So now we're going to jump into the STEM portion of our presentation here. So I'm going to go into my gallery, and this is where, had I captured that worksheet that I had underneath here earlier, it would have saved into this gallery, and I have already done that previously. So we have different file folders here, and there's a distance camera where I could capture images and save to, but I created a math folder earlier, and I actually saved that math word problem worksheet in my gallery here. So now you can see up here that I can tap, press and hold. I'll tap the pause button, which is the same as the read button there. But basically what I did was press and held briefly on visit there, and we started reading right from that point. So we can provide text-to-speech support for a student that may also be struggling with reading, or we want them to be totally focused on the math. So this is a math worksheet that has that available to them. Let's zoom back out here a little bit. Again, I can use gestures here, but up at the top there, you can see that I can put my name in, and we have tools for that. So I'll tap my writing tool here, and I have a pen turned on. Let's say it's in black, I want it in blue, so I'll switch to blue there. And now I'm going to use this stylus to put my name up here at the top of my document. And I'm not doing very good with that today, but we know that this is Roger's paper, and that'll be saved right onto my document, which I will be able to share later on. Over here, we have a question. How many, I need to turn my pen off. Good thing I have an eraser. We'll erase that. I'll hit my back button and come back out to my document again. So how many more miles, and I could have this read, how many more miles of trails are there than miles of shoreline in Crater Lake National Park? So the point of this worksheet is to use the little chart that we were showing a moment ago over here to the right to figure that out. So this is a situation where maybe I want to be able to use a calculator. And we have implemented gestures. Now I could back out and go to my carousel and go swipe left until I got to my calculator. But we've implemented a gesture, a 2-finger gesture that allows me to swipe on the screen. And my fingers get sticky sometimes when I'm presenting here. So there we go. So now I've found my calculator by using this 2-finger swipe gesture that goes back and forth between the two applications. So there's 90 miles of trails and 26 miles of shoreline. So I know that that's 90 minus 26. So I'm going to use my calculator to do the math for me. And this is the general calculator here. We'll go into additional details in a moment. There's my answer, 64. So maybe I want to come back to my document here. And again, we can move this around. And I can use my stylus again. Got to switch to a pen, Roger. Pay attention to what you're doing. And we left it at, so I can write it right onto my document right there. So now I've answered that question on my document. Turn my pen off. back out to my document. I could move on to my other questions there. So that's a quick and easy, simple example of using a standard calculator to answer a question there. So now I'm going to back out. I started another document using the back button up here to my gallery, the top level of it. And I started a document earlier over here called graphing because I wanted to show some of the other calculator tools. So let me tap on that. And here you'll see a blank piece of paper that I can tap onto. And let's say that my teacher has asked me to complete an assignment. I'm going to tilt my screen down and see if I can write a little. Oh, let's show a different tool instead. Let's switch from me writing to using a text tool. And I'll press and hold on that screen. And now I can put my name in. And I'm just going to put Roger, comma, graphing problems. So this will be my cover page, if you will, for my document. We'll send that to it, and now that's in there. So one thing that we can do when we turn our marking off is when we're looking at the document out here is we can press and hold, and we'll get an option to insert into it. So let's say I have a worksheet that my teacher has given me that says I need to insert something in here or complete a bunch of equations. So I can hit insert, and we allow you to use the calculator. So this is going to quickly jump between my calculator so I don't have to use my gesture as much. A new function graph. So it automatically is going to open up into my graphing calculator in this case, because we want to be able to copy that graph into an assignment. Before I show you a graphed equation, I want to quickly show this gear wheel up here that will show you that I can change my grid colors. So let's say I want to have it to be blue, which is my favorite color, and I can change my units if I need to have those changed based upon what the teacher has given me. So at this point, what I can do is put in an equation that maybe I'm supposed to be graphing. So let's say x plus 3 equals 5 is what I'm supposed to be graphing. So I'll press that and we will graph that. And there is the equation of that. We'll save it. And now it's saved into my document as an additional graph that's in there. So I can quickly create multiple graphs to insert in there. So let me just back out. I want to show one more thing about these calculators so you can see all of them. So I'm going all the way back now, all the way out to my carousel just to show you when you're in the calculator. By default, I have it set right now when I enter through the app itself to be a standard calculator. And I wanted to show you the full breadth of the settings that are available there. So at the top left corner is a back button that will take me to my carousel. Of course, it picks up where I left off in my standard calculator last time with that answer. So we'll just clear that off right now. And then I will tap this gear wheel right here. And this is where I can set the mode. So my default mode is standard right now. Again, we have a scientific calculator, which will look very much when I back out of it. It has some of the same functions as a graphing calculator. So you see sine, cosine, tangent, and so forth. We'll back up out of there again. Oops, didn't mean to go there. I meant to come here in my gear wheel again to show you the graphing calculator, the difference when you go to the graphing calculator. And the difference is that now when I switch from my interface here to here, I still see my sine, I have my inverse, my trigonomic functions and so forth, but I also have the ability to graph it here. So that's a big difference between the scientific and the graphing calculator, is the ability to create those graphs and send them off to a document. So I see that we're running up on about 2 minutes left here, and that went by so fast. I can't believe how fast that was. I do want to check and see if we have any questions that have come in. Have you seen any, Megan, by any chance?
I have not, but Roger, I so enjoyed that demo. Thank you for all that detail.
Thank you. It's always a challenge to try and squeeze everything in. So I am going to see if I can share back to our PowerPoint, and we are going to take questions from anybody that might have them out there. And there we go. So that's our PowerPoint. Hopefully I was able to provide enough information about the calculators, and especially in a real life use situation where someone might use them. I did leave off the fact that once I finished one of those assignments where I marked directly onto my word problems or created my graphing and then inserted several, graphs that the teacher might want, that I do have the ability also to share those out. So I can take those when they're done and share them to my Google Drive where my teacher might have access if I'm using Google Education, or I can send them via email to my teacher or whatever. So there is a lot there to explore, and hopefully we provided just enough to get folks started on that path. I don't see any questions coming in, Meaghan, so I'm going to launch the last poll, the closing poll, and we will allow folks to complete that and thank everybody for coming along. And if you have questions, we'll stay for a moment or two and answer them if they come through. But thanks for joining us today, Meaghan. Really appreciate it. Fantastic presentation.
Thanks for the opportunity. We are honored to partner with you all.
Thank you.